Hey guys, this is Red and Blue, the channel on YouTube for all things PSG in English. Please subscribe. Today, let's do a little bit of a Mercato update. The PSG squad is in between the semi-final and the final of the Club World Cup, but obviously Mercato never stops. And even if Luis Campos is in the US with the rest of the PSG group, there's definitely stuff that are moving, especially when it comes to player exiting PSG. And it seems that, before they get on the plane between New York and Paris, PSG might have to book a few seats in the plane between Paris and Istanbul, because today was announced that PSG and Fenerbahce have essentially found a deal for Marco Asensio to be transferred to Turkey. We're looking at a deal around 15 million euros for a player who was on loan in Aston Villa for the second half of last season. That loan was pretty successful, actually. I think he clocked in nearly 10 goals in half a season. Yeah, 8 goals and 1 assist in 21 matches. Pretty good stats in the Premier League, and definitely gave credit to the player and gave him some value in the transfer market. So Jose Mourinho is interested. Both clubs agree around an offer around 15 million euro. We don't know yet exactly how that's going to be structured in terms of, upfront fee versus money over time versus bonuses and so on and so forth. But yeah, 15 million for him, like more than happy for a player that doesn't really have a future in PSG and doesn't really have a future under Luis Enrique. More than happy to take that money. And I think the place that it stands is that Fenerbahce offered him a contract worth 9 million euros per year, which is good, but not nearly there for him. So I'm still like, he's trying to get a little bit more money out of them. Apparently, they sent him a video of what his future house in Istanbul might look like. Same kind of house that John Duran is going to get because he's signing there from Saudi Arabia. So like they're really like getting into the details, which is a pretty good sign. And yeah, like I said, if we can get that done, like that'd be pretty amazing for a player to exit. And then, like, also Fenerbahce, they've been, we've talked about this before, but they've been after Skriniar for a long time. Obviously, Skriniar was loaned in Fenerbahce for last season. He did pretty well over there, and so they'd like to keep him and get him transferred for good. I think over there, the situation is that there's basically a deal like between PSG and Fenerbahce, because PSG is not going to be that difficult to exit like a player that they got on a free and that has a big salary. And so the question is really about Fenerbahce finding a deal with Skriniar. What we're hearing is that it's very close to being done. I think the last we had heard is that Skriniar was trying to generate a little bit of interest in Italy to see if any club over there might be interested in his profile. I don't think anyone really beat on that, so he might have to just suck it up and move to Fenerbahce as well. Apparently the sporting director of Fenerbahce is actually like traveling to Italy to finalize some transfer negotiation, including Skriniar's deal. So pretty strong sign, that this will get done as well. And finally, from Fenerbahce as well. Apparently, they got interest on Nordi Mukiele. So that one is definitely not as advanced because it doesn't seem like there's much conversations between the two clubs. But apparently, some media are saying that the player wouldn't be opposed to it and would be like happy for a move to Turkey. I don't know. I think this one is a bit further out, so we'll have more time and chances to talk about it. It feels a bit strange to me, if I'm honest, because I think Skriniar, Asensio, they're pushing on 30s. They haven't really lived up to their potential, and their last seasons have been pretty uneven in terms of the levels that they've shown. Mukiele is still a player that I rank somewhat. I think his loan in Leverkusen this season hasn't really been fantastic for him, but he's a younger player. He's 27. He's versatile. He can play in central, in defense, and on the right. He's got a couple of things going for him, so I'm surprised that he'd go to Turkey, even if it's to play under Jose Mourinho and in a European qualified club. So we'll see about this one. I think it's further away anyway. And then the last one on the way out, which I think is also interesting, is that apparently Betis Sevilla would be interested in recruiting Moscardo or central midfielder, defensive midfielder, young Brazilian who had a very unsuccessful loan in Reims last season. If you remember, he's traveled with the rest of the squad for the Club World Cup. We haven't really seen him feature in any of the games there. He's been like on and off injured as well and back, so it's really hard to get a sense of what his real situation is. But my sense is that the fact that he hasn't featured in any of the Club World Cup games, it's a pretty clear sign that, maybe Luis Enrique took a look at him and is not really like impressed with what he saw, doesn't really think he's got a future right now. For Betis Sevilla, makes complete sense. They could sign, cheaply a player with a lot of potential, and probably, like make a profit in the long run. I think for us, like we paid very little for the player as well, so like I'm assuming we're gonna do better than break even. And so with that in mind, like, more than happy to see the player go. So we'll see about those. Obviously, if it's 4 players that are going out, that'd be pretty good in terms of getting rid of a lot of the like players that we're not really counting on. Another one as well is Renato Sanchez. So there's conversation about him getting loaned again to Benfica. So we'll see. Hopefully, there's options for all of those players, which is pretty good. People often say that Luis Campos, his strong suit is definitely not selling players. So it's great to see movement on all of those players a little bit up front in the Mercato window. And hopefully we can finalize all of those deals and just get a better sense of where we stand in terms of the squad we have going into next season. And then last one, very quickly, I wanted to mention, because this one is a bit sad to me. Youngster and under 19 of PSG, Mamadou Sangaré, is going to sign with Manchester City. His youth contract was running out this June, and sadly, like, we couldn't convince him to sign with us. Last season, he played with the under 90s, and in 46 games, he scored 42 goals and 4 assists. So definitely someone that, in terms of stats, was really making his mark. So kind of a shame that, we don't get a chance to see him with the pros and wear the Paris jersey. He's going to City though, so obviously we wish him the best and hopefully things go well for him over there. Cool, that was it for now. Not so much news in terms of players coming in. I think everything is waiting until the end of the Club World Cup. Obviously, I think like Paris isn't gonna announce or like even have rumors about players coming in when like the actual players are still engaged. You wouldn't want Marquinhos or a Dembele or like whoever it might be to play with the thought in their head that they've got someone coming in to play their spot next season. I think like there's a couple of things though. We talked about Rodrigo a few days ago. I find it interesting. I don't know what it means for us, obviously, but the news recently was that Bayern Munich put in an offer for Luis Diaz. So we know Bayern Munich was one of the clubs who was in the market for like really a world-class level winger, and they put in an offer from Luis Diaz of Liverpool. And Arsenal has found a deal with Chelsea to get Madueke from Chelsea. And so Arsenal was also another club which had been talked about for Rodrigo. So if those two transfer actually like move forward, yeah, it really makes me wonder whether we kind of remain the only potential options. I think City has also been talked about when it comes to Rodrigo, but obviously they've already signed Cherki, like they have Doku, they do have a lot of wingers already. So yeah, we'll have to see how this develops, but it could be a sign of PSG being really like kind of unopposed for this transfer. And then the second thing I wanted to mention, which I think is interesting, and I'm curious to hear, like in the comment, let me know if you think along the same lines. But I was thinking, like, we haven't heard anything about Donnarumma in the longest time, which like really makes me think at this point, like maybe they found a deal with him and they're just waiting for the end of the Club World Cup to announce it. I think PSG is known to be very mindful of the timing of their announcement when it comes to contract extension. And there's been lots of examples of them sitting for a few months on the announcement before pulling it out. And yeah, in this case, like there's no news of other clubs looking at it. There's no news of PSG looking at other keepers. transfers, like absolutely nothing. Like the club and the player are having further conversation. Like the last thing that happened was when they were at the very beginning of the competition, they said they would have conversation in LA, and then after that, like nothing at all. So yeah, maybe I'm like reading too much into it. I really don't know. Curious to get your thoughts, but yeah, I'm thinking it might be a pretty good news for us coming in the days after the game against Chelsea, and or hopefully Club World Cup win. So yeah, that was it for me. I think those are the top items, and I think as soon as the Club World Cup is done, I expect things are gonna increase in terms of the volume of conversations around transfers. So stay tuned because I think next week is gonna be pretty interesting. I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of news and a lot more stuff happening around PSG. I completely expect right now that the club is working on their Mercato, and they're just probably asking everyone that they're working with to keep things super quiet. And yeah, as soon as we finish the Club World Cup, we also know what kind of money we get as a prize for that competition, which then obviously we can plow into the Mercato. So we'll see about this. I'll keep you guys posted in the coming weeks. And in any case, like starting tomorrow, I think we're going to be talking about Chelsea and that's that last final of the season before players go on holiday that Sunday in New York. So yeah, stay tuned. Please like this video. Please comment and let me know what you think of those transfers and of the Donnarumma thing. Am I reading too much into it, or like do you think good news is coming? And yeah, please subscribe to the channel for more PSG content in English on YouTube every day. And don't forget, ici c'est Paris!